بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Dear respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Eman, your weekly Q&A show where you ask question and the respected guest answers in light of the Quran and Sunnah. To dial in directly to the studio, it's 0203 515 0769. If you would like to drop us a text on WhatsApp, then it's 0742 239 8833. Should you choose to email us, then it's askeman@emanchannel.tv. And alternatively, you can also leave us a message on our social media platform, i.e. Facebook page and YouTube channel. And please do not forget to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow our Twitter handle and Instagram page. And in this program will not only be broadcasted live from the studio of Eman channel, watched on Sky 757, but also you can watch us live and repeat later on Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Joining me tonight is Shaykh Abdul Basir, respected Imam and Khatib. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to Ask Eman.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, fine. Thank you very much for asking. Let's start.
Yeah.
I know it's been in the news for some time,
Yes.
and I'm talking about coronavirus. Yes, we may be concerned. Yes, we may be alarmed. However, now we see reports, people are reporting certain surgeries, certain hospitals, certain offices, and they're getting closed down. Now, as Muslim living in a Western society, we know we should be concerned if there is any such cases, but how do we handle in a way that we can balance our deen at the same time the country that we live in?
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawla. This issue has been for a while, as the presenter, Brother Qamarul, said. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing our level of Iman. So I'm sure many of us, we know this verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah, inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. When you think that any difficulty is what afflicting us, or any difficulties is coming to our life, so seek the assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through prayer and through being patient. So being patient in the first important one. And before that, we have to understand that this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. And this could be a very dangerous, or if I would not mistaken, so if very sensitive issue for nowadays. So we might be affected, as we understand that many brothers and sisters around the globe, across the globe, they are getting affected. So we make dua for all of them. So may Allah protect us and protect them as well. So, and to balance it with the deen, we should understand the verse we said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah, inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. Also, there are some ad'iyah from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We are seeing very basic thing where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from these difficult illness. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-barasi wal-judam. It's very long dua. So if you find it in Hisn al-Muslim, you'll find it in the Hisn al-Muslim. So make sure all of us, we say this dua to balance with the deen and to balance with the dunya. As for the worldly thing, we have to understand that there are guidelines from NHS, there are guidelines from World Health Organization, and there are many guidelines for us to follow to be protected and to always choose the right method of being protected. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq to protect ourselves and everyone else to be protected by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for clarifying. Now, the second aspect is half term is over.
Yeah.
Our children are back to school. Now, when it comes to education, sometimes we see certain understanding are prevalent within the society. What's the point of acquiring education in a secular school? I can only, my intention is to acquire religious education only. Now, especially if it's a young person saying that. Now, how important it is as Muslim to understand both these sides of the education, i.e. the education, the religious education that we unfortunately term in this today's world, and secular education.
Okay, so we have to understand that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in this hadith, which is very important one and which is very famous one, طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. That acquiring the knowledge, gaining the knowledge is fard, compulsory upon a believer, and woman or male or female. So Rasulullah didn't classify or didn't categorize that you have to gain only only the religious knowledge. No, he said talabul ilmi in general. We have to gain the general knowledge. And more specifically, Rasulullah SAW told us in another hadith, man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din. For whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants goodness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the knowledge of the deen. So that is something different. But when you ponder over this hadith of Rasulullah, that talabul ilm, that general knowledge is acquiring general knowledge is what compulsory upon every one of us. So if you do not know the worldly knowledge, how would you be able to what to lead your life? So this is very important one. As for those who always focus on the religious studies, yes, we have to focus on the religious studies, but on the other hand, we should be prioritizing the worldly knowledge, which is called secular knowledge or whatever. If you do not know about chemistry, if you do not know about physics, if you do not know about if you want to become pilot, you need to know about physics more than any other subjects. If you want to become a doctor, you need to become aware of chemistry. If you need to become a lawyer, you have to understand not only the Islamic law, all the worldly laws. So this is why we need to gain the worldly knowledge as well, which is what encouraged by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in different ahadith as well. We're not going into that details, but we should be focusing on the worldly knowledge as well.
Now, thank you very much for clarifying that. Now, the other aspect I would like to touch on is during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was there any difference the way we do difference now, or even not necessarily during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sahabi or Khulafa Rashidin, Tabi'in, Tabi'in? Did they used to differentiate between worldly education and religious education, or was it all understood in one context?
So majority of the time we find that it was understood in one context, but when it comes to different like Hijri 500 and something, 560, when the Abbasi Khilafah, when the Abbasi time came, so the Umayyads Khilafah, they didn't focus much on the worldly knowledge, but the Abbasid, they focused more on the worldly knowledge, more on secular knowledge, but they managed to have somehow with the Islamic knowledge and made it, they compromised each knowledge, and they made it and they taught these knowledge in such a way that one should be amazed that how did they manage the religious side and how did they manage the worldly, the secular side as well. So this is why in Islam we shouldn't focus only on religious views. No, we should be focusing on the other sides as well, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Now, the other question I may have is, yes, we understood the importance of education. Yes, we understood how important it is to prioritize both sides of the education. Now, to parents, they may have a vision. The child or the young person may have a vision. Now, how do we make sure that we have a balance in understanding? For instance, parents may aspire the child to become a doctor or an engineer. However, the child may not necessarily have the same aspiration or goal, or perhaps not even academically equipped to enhance his further education in those kind of subjects. Now, it becomes sometimes very challenging, the conversation, and very heated. We have seen in families that the parents might say the child is not listening to the parents. The child might say, my parents are not understanding me. How do we find a balance, or find balance?
So finding balance, first of all, for our parents, they have to be aware that they should understand their mentality. They should read the mind of their children, what they want to become and how they should improve in their education. So we shouldn't enforce or force our children to do something which they are not interested in. So they might lose the track. This is one of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he saw any potential in any Sahabi, he would advise them he would advise that specific Sahabi to move forward and on that subject he is doing. Subhanallah. So this was the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should be prioritizing the mentality, prioritizing the expectation of our children, for them to be a better citizen, for them to understand what they are. And we are there for supporting. We should be supporting them in achieving whatever they want to achieve. But on the other hand, we should be supporting them not to go too much on there, or not to be too much burden on themselves. And this is what should be balanced And for the parents, they have to be, this is why nowadays we've got many parenting course.
That's correct. There are a lot of modules,
Yeah,
courses,
modules,
professional
courses.
courses
Yeah,
out
so
there.
sometimes we don't understand our children, so this is very sad thing. So we have to understand our thing, the way they talk, the way they are communicating with us, the way they are dealing in the family. Sometimes the children, they would do something at home that you are not liking, but this is a way that they're seeking your attention. They're seeking the attention of the parents.
And also we need to understand there's a difference in culture.
Of course.
There's difference in understanding.
Yes.
So do we not have to then bridge the gap that is there between the generation?
Exactly. Also, we have to understand the context, the environment, the atmosphere that we are living. So it might be like I'm living in a society where I'm saying whatever I'm saying, it is getting, or my child is listening to me. But you might be in a society that you have freedom, your child have freedom, or your child who is nowadays a young person, he has his own choice, his own freedom. So how should you balance with his freedom and your culture, your religion? So you have to compromise everything, put everything on the right track. So if we can do this, we can make our children better citizen, and better in terms of their future.
Jazakallah khair. Now that's a very important nasiha the Shaykh has given it to us. Now we have to understand our children. At the end of the day, we need to remember they are our children. They are the future ambassador of Islam. And if we do not understand them, if we do not understand their need, who else is going to understand? And for us to do that, we need to first sit down with them, have a conversation with them, have a free and frank, open conversation with them, and find out what the differences are, what is their opinion, what is their goal in life, and then we can, inshallah, work together for a better future. With this, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back in a few moments. Do stay tuned with us. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Ask Eman, your weekly Q&A show. To dial in to ask your questions and get it answered here live from the studio of Eman channel, it's 0203-515-0769. If you would like to drop us a text on WhatsApp, then it's 07422398833. You can email us at askeman@emanchannel.tv, and also don't forget to leave us a message if you think that is appropriate for you on our social media platform, that is Facebook page or YouTube channel. Joining us tonight, Shaykh Abdul Basir. Now, moving on to our questions you have asked, or you have sent us a lot of questions through our WhatsApp. Jazakallah khair for that. And if you would like to join in directly, then please do not hesitate. Pick up the phone, and all the necessary details are at the bottom of your TV screen. Shaykh, let's move on to the questions. The first question, Assalamu alaikum. My question is related to Umrah. Can we do Umrah on behalf of someone who has recently passed away?
Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So, there hasn't come anything about the Umrah, but Rasulullah SAW told us in the hadith about the Hajj. So if anybody hasn't done Hajj, we can do Hajj on behalf of that person. But basing on that fiqhi mas'ala, majority of ulama, they said, it is allowed to do Umrah on behalf of someone if that person hasn't done any Umrah, but it is not anything from the Sunnah. And there is a practice in our society that we do Umrah for someone, which is not bad, and majority of the ulama, they said yes, we can do this.
What about if the person who is planning to do Umrah for someone else, if he hasn't done Umrah himself?
No, it has to be, you have to do your own Umrah first, and then you do on behalf of someone else. Similarly with the Hajj, you have to do your own Hajj first, then you do someone else's Hajj. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for that. And now before we move on to the question, let's move on to our caller and see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To yourself and Shaykh Abdul Basir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for joining with us. How can we help you?
My question is that if during the Salah, in one rak'ah, I wish to recite two surahs from the 30th juz of the Quran. So is it must that those surahs should be one after the other in the tartib as well, or could it be far apart from each other? What is the preferred advice?
Clear? Loud and clear. Any other question?
That's it. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah fiqh for such an important question. And once again, thank you very much for calling into the studio live. And now let's move on to the answer. Shaykh.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, mashallah, you've asked a very important question. So yes, you can add any surah in one rak'ah. After reciting Surah Fatiha, you can add how many surahs, whatever surahs you wish to recite. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read from where you find easy from the Quran. Also, as you mentioned about the tartib, about the in order, which is very important, in the Sunnah or in the fuqaha, majority of the fuqaha, they said about tankis, which is like if you break the order. Some of the fuqaha said is make your salah disliked, and some of the fuqaha said that they are more serious about this. They said you have to repeat your prayer. So we're not going to that part. So, but generally, if you are reciting any surahs, make sure it is in order. For example, if you're reciting Surah Al-Sharh, Alam Nashrah, and you want to recite any surah after that, recite the surah after that, which is Surah Al-Tin. So don't recite Surah Al-Sharh, then Wad-Duha, which is the Motwa, and you be on the safe side, inshallah.
What about, just to be clear, so if say for example someone have read Surah Duha first, but then in the same rak'ah did not read or recite Surah Shah, jumped straight to Surah Tin, or maybe perhaps any surah later on.
Yes, still the prayer would be valid, but as I mentioned, some of the fuqaha, some school of the thought, they said it is disliked.
Okay.
It is disliked, yes.
Jazakallah khair for that. Hope that answers your question, and once again, thank you very much for calling in. Moving on swiftly to the next question, and that is, are injection for treatment that have gelatin in it is haram?
So generally, this is a health advice, and when we find anything which is like gelatin or something, so if there is any alternative treatment which doesn't have any gelatin, and which is very important for you to take that injection to be protected, and if any Muslim doctor advises you to take that, and if they say that like according to the Islamic Sharia, according to the Islamic law, it is permissible, so yes, you can take it. But if you see that there is an alternative way of that injection, it is better to take the alternative, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. And next question, it is, so many medication for health have alcohol in them.
Yeah.
Is it haram to take them?
So we can't say clearly is it haram or not. For so as we say with the echo with the first answer, that you have to be consulting with a Muslim doctor if there is an alternative medication which doesn't contain any alcohol or any prohibited element in that medication, and if there is any alternative you can take that, but if there is no alternative you have to take this. It is the best way is, or the best option is, to consult with a doctor who is a Muslim, who is aware of the Islamic rules, and if he say yes, you can take it, but leave it on that professional, so he will advise you, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And I would like to echo with what Shaykh has mentioned. Say, for example, if you happen to live in a town or a city where there is no Muslim doctor available, which might be difficult these days, however, it could be possible, or perhaps in a different country, in a different part of the world, please get in touch with a qualified doctor. Have a quick chat regarding, is there any alternative available? If they say there is an alternative available, great, please do consult with them. However, if there is no alternative availability, and that's the only option you've got, then inshallah, as Shaykh has mentioned, take the necessary action based on the professional advice that you have received from the medical team. Moving on swiftly to our next caller now. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah, very young voice I can hear. What's your question?
I actually have two questions.
Okay, great. Let's start with the first one.
The first one is, I usually come from school in my bus. Am I allowed to pray like standing up, or should I just sit in my seat and pray?
Okay, I think I've missed the first part of it. If I can slightly, if you can be slightly louder. What was your first part of the question?
Like, I'm coming back from school by the bus.
Okay.
But should I stand up and pray, or should I sit and pray?
I think I'm missing. Shaykh, did you get that question?
So she says standing up or sitting down.
Yeah. So I can get this stand. Are you speaking on a mobile phone? I think the reception is not too clear. So I did get it, what you're saying about standing or sitting down. So what's exactly, if you can repeat it again, apology for the inconvenience. What is it exactly again? If you're standing or sitting down in a bus?
I'm coming back from the bus. By the time it's after prayer and I need to pray in the bus.
Oh, I see.
Should I stand up or pray, or should I sit and pray?
Very nice question. Very interesting question. Okay, understood that. What's your second question?
My second question is that if we are praying while traveling,
Okay.
like when we're praying, how do we know if it's the real Qibla? Even if we're not praying the real Qibla, is it fine to pray, or should we pray again when we get to our destination?
Very good question. Very good question. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking you?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old, mashallah, mashallah. At a very young age, you've asked a very, very important question.
Mashallah.
Thank you ever so much, and congratulations to your parents. Definitely, we must say, Shaykh. Thank you ever so much for asking such an important question. Yes. Stay in front of the TV, inshallah. The Shaykh will be answering the question now. Inshallah. The first question is, if she's in a bus and the Asr time comes in the bus, can she pray while standing, or can she sit down and pray?
MashaAllah, first of all, MashaAllah, I appreciate you.
8 years old.
MashaAllah. May Allah protect you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard you. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you a very good believer. So your question is very important. So if you are on bus and the Asr time is there, so should you pray on the bus? So now,
while standing or sitting?
While standing or sitting. But for yourself, mashallah, if you think there is enough time, you can go home and pray there, inshallah. So don't put pressure on yourself that you sitting down or praying standly or sitting down. No. So if there is time, enough time, go home and pray. But if there is not enough time, you learn about the ruling slowly, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. And with regard to second question, if they are traveling, they don't know where the Qibla is, or scientifically, if they don't know where the Qibla is. So if I just elaborate that question, how will they then pray?
Okay, so in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. If you are confused that you can't find the right direction of the Qibla, whatever you will pray, whichever direction you will pray, your prayer will be valid, inshallah.
Just one question on that. People may misunderstand and take the easiest route of, okay, I don't know, but without making any effort to finding it out.
Of course, if you make any effort, you don't find the direction after making the effort, you just assume and that this is the direction of the Qibla, and you pray, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your prayer. But it has to be done after you put your effort.
Jazakallah khair. And these days, whatever phone you use, there are so electronic or digital compasses are available. Inshallah, you can make use of that. And secondly, as Shaykh has mentioned, I'd like to congratulate such a young sister calling in live into the studio. I must say that she has got the courage to phone in live into the studio and ask such an important question. And with regards to your salah, as Shaykh has mentioned, do not put yourself at risk while you're in the bus, and do not put others at risk. So inshallah, if you have enough time, as Shaykh has mentioned, do come home and pray your salah. And if there is any other information or any other knowledge you would like to acquire, get in touch with your parents as well. Inshallah, they will be in touch with a qualified scholar. Now, before we move on to the break, Shaykh, important question.
Yes,
how do we motivate our younger generation to ask these kind of intelligent questions in 10 seconds?
Feel free. So if you don't feel free to ask the question, you wouldn't be asking any question. Feel free that I need to learn about my religion, and what I am free to learn about my religion. So if you read the history of Rasulullah, you'll find many children, they came and they asked him questions.
Jazakallah khair. And in today's age and time, age is not a restriction. Alhamdulillah, we can see a lot of young people are asking more questions that perhaps we might even have never thought about it. Inshallah, we'll be continuing with these questions more after a short break. Do stay tuned with us. We'll be right back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much for being with us. Welcome back to Ask Eman in conversation with Shaykh Abdul Basir, respected Imam and Khatib in London. If you would like to join in live through the studio, then it's 0203 515 0769. Alternatively, you can drop us a text on WhatsApp, and the telephone number, or in fact the mobile number, is 0742 239 8833. You can also email us and in fact drop us a message on our social media platform, and all the necessary details are at the bottom of your TV screen. And please do not forget to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our Twitter page or Twitter handle and Instagram page. Moving on swiftly to our next question on WhatsApp. Shaykh, the next question is, what is the ruling of doing masah on the neck? Is it from the Sunnah?
It hasn't been reported any hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do masah on his neck. But there is another hadith that Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, however, he has done, or he had wiped his neck, and which is his own amal. But based on that, some of the ulama, they said it is good to wipe your raqaba or wipe your neck, but it is not from the sunnah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Moving on, but before I move on to the next question, let's see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, brother. Thank you very much for joining in. What's your question?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Please.
Yeah, my first question is how to stay steadfast upon salah.
Okay, good question.
Yeah, that's the first question.
Okay.
And the second question is, you see, when you learn an Arabic language, is it good to listen to Arabic even if you don't understand, so you can pick up vocabulary?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my second question.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Shaykh, is it clear to you?
Yes, so what was the first question?
Okay, it's clear, inshallah, and you can listen to Shaykh's answer. He will be giving it now in a few moments. The first question is, how can someone be steadfast on salah?
Steadfast on salah is you need to build up the tranquility, you need to build up the khushu'. So you have to understand that there is a hadith where Rasulullah ﷺ told us that you have to think that you are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is another saying that if you think that okay, no one is looking to me, you have to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking to you, and you are actually in conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As there is a hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ where he said, as-salatu mi'raj al-mu'min, the prayer is a journey with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a believer. So you are in conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you just keep that in your mind, that you are very devoted, and you are very eager to get in your conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will give you the more tranquility in the prayer and will build up your steadfastness, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. But I would like to add a little bit on that question. Say, for example, a lot of time as an imam, I'm sure you receive certain questions about waswasa in the salah. So you're standing in the salah, the entire world, if you've forgotten it, you get reminded in the salah.
Of course.
Now, how can someone then make sure their focus is still there on the salah?
So if these kind of things, of course, these kind of comes to you when you are praying, when you are in prayer. So, but if those things comes, you have to focus more on the salah, focus on the recitation, focus on your actions of the prayer, focus in your ruku', focus on Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Ala. This is why in the prayer there is constant adhkar. While you're standing, there is dhikr, reciting. While you are going to ruku', there is dhikr. While you're going to sujood, there is dhikr. While sitting in tashahud, there is dhikr. So you be in constant ibadah, not to the worldly thinkings doesn't divert your attention from the prayer, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And secondly, the last question is Arabic language. Is it good to listen or learn, say for example, listening to Arabic vocabulary, etc.?
So this is something about the linguistics.
Correct.
So if you want to build up your lingual pronunciation or whatever, why not? Yes, even the way we are understanding learning English, similarly you can understand and learn Arabic by listening and reading. But for the purpose of reciting Quran, that will give you more rewards. If your intention is that I need to build up my Arabic or my language to understand the Quran, to recite the Quran much more perfectly, correctly, so that you will get reward as well, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, and I hope that answers your question. Moving on swiftly to our next question on WhatsApp, and that is it okay to pray one rak'ah of witr, or does it have to be 3?
So the witr itself, it means one rak'ah, but the witr has to be prayed with the shafa' and witr. So you have to pray, yes, you can pray three, it has to be three, the first two ones with one go, and the last one is by itself. So it has to be like, but there are majority of the ulama, they said, so the witr is not stick on three. Some of them, they said five, you can raise it to seven, some of them said nine, and the maximum is 11. So maximum is 11, like 2, 2, 2, 5 times, and the last one should be witr with one rak'ah, and has to be intention that I am doing salat al-shafi'i wal witr. It has to be connected with the first two, or first 4 or 6 or 8, whatever you are praying.
And just to clarify, if I understood the question, say for example, if he just wants to pray one rak'ah only.
No, it is not permissible. It has to be done with the connecting the first two, or first the even rak'ats.
Okay, and secondly, there are different ways of witr without getting into too much of it. Is there any particular way you would recommend, or any ways?
The particular which is more authenticated in the sunnah is after you do 2 rak'ahs together, you do assalamu alaikum, you finish them by assalam, and the next one you pray it by itself. The one rak'ah which is witr, you pray it by itself. However, there is another opinion which is authentic as well. The Hanafi madhab, they've taken that they pray these 3 rak'ahs together with one sitting in between. Majority of them, both of these opinions are authenticated, but I personally would prefer the first one.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. And let us also make sure we see a lot of times we find ourselves immersed and engaged in a debate that has got no point and no value, just merely debating on how many rakat witrs are there or how should one pray witr. So let us also make sure that we don't engage in any unnecessary conversation. But thank you very much. Normally we get this question during Ramadan, but alhamdulillah, very well ahead.
Ramadan is very close to us.
That is indeed true, because this is one of the questions we often hear it during Ramadan about witr. Now moving on swiftly to our next question, and that is, what is the reward of memorizing the 99 names of Allah?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran that وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got beautiful names. So when you are calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His name. The reward of memorizing or knowing the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important, that you know about your creator, you know about the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know about what things of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Allah is Razzaq, He is provider, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Sami', He listens to us. So when you connect all of these names with of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your life, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be increasing. And this is the main important thing of memorizing or knowing the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you elaborate more on what وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually is telling you that call me through the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. And there's another common mistakes we see within our society, that we do have names like yourself, Basir, but when our parents keep the name, instead of using the word Abdul before the name, they just straight away keep their children's name. Is that something that we need to look into and make sure that we keep it appropriately?
Yes, some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as a broad meaning, and some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is specifically only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like as-Subhan, Abdus Subhan. If someone is naming his child Abdus Subhan is not permissible to say only Subhan, because Subhan is only related with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for example, you're saying like you mentioned about my name, Abdul Basir. Normally Basir means someone who can see. Correct. So generally I can see as well. But if intentionally I'm saying that you Basir, you know more about this and that, no, this is wrong. But generally if someone is saying like Basir, you can see everything. And Basir is something which is very vast, and this is why many ulama, they said you have to add Abd before. It is the best option. If some of the ulama even, they said it's not allowed to call the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to call someone just only to mention him by name. You have to add the Abd.
Thank you ever so much for clarifying. And this brings us to another thing that we have to always take into consideration, that whenever we keep beautiful name for our children, always, if Arabic is not our first language and if we are not aware of the meaning of the name, let us get in touch with a qualified scholar or knowledgeable person so that we can understand the meaning before keeping the name of our children. Moving on now to our next caller. Let's see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Shaykh, I'm calling
Wa alaikum salam wa
from
rahmatullah.
the Republic of Benin.
Yes, a question. What's your question, sister?
Please, I'm finding it difficult to gather my zakah money. When I try to gather, something come across. I don't know what to do.
Okay, let's understand the question. Did you say that you're finding it difficult to calculate zakat money?
I find it difficult to gather the zakat money. When I try to gather, something come across.
Okay, I think your line is slightly not clear. So I understand you're finding it difficult to gather zakat money. And then what's the next question or the sentence?
I want you to pray for me so that I'll make it possible to pay the zakat money.
Okay, fine. I think we've understood the question. Thank you very much for asking such an important question, Shaykh. We're coming to a break, but in short, sister is finding it difficult to gather zakat money. Now, there are two approaches to that question, but if you can just answer in general, what if someone is finding difficult, how should one then plan?
In general, if you are finding it difficult to calculate your zakat or to gather your zakat money, so on the day you are paying your zakat, it has to be any specific day that this day of the year I pay my zakat. For example, if you pay your zakat on the 10th day of Ramadan, so on the 10th day of the Ramadan, whatever you have, whatever money you have, pay the zakat on based on the money you have. This is the best option, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Hope that answers your question, and may Allah make it easy for all of us.
Inshallah.
It's again time for another break. We'll be right back in a few moments, but that doesn't mean you can't call in. You can get yourself called in directly to the studio and book yourself the queue. So the telephone number is 0203 515 0769. Alternatively, you can text us on 0742 239 8833 on WhatsApp. We'll be right back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman channel, watched on Sky 757. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the last segment of Ask Eman, your weekly Q&A show, where you ask a question and it gets answered by our qualified and esteemed scholar in the studio. To directly dial into the studio, it's 0203 515 0769. And if you would like to drop us a text on WhatsApp, then it's 0742 239 8833. Alternatively, you can email us at askeman@emanchannel.tv, or you can leave us a message on our social media platform, i.e. on Facebook page or our YouTube channel. And please do not forget to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow our Twitter handle and Instagram pages. Before we went on to the break, our sister all the way from Republic of Benin in West Africa, she called in, and our producers have been very kind enough to ask the question further and got it clarified. So inshallah, I'll be discussing this question more in detail. But before that, joining with us tonight is Shaykh Abdul Basir. Now, Shaykh Abdul Basir, the last caller in the previous segment, I would just like to talk and touch a little bit more in details. Basically, she struggles to gather zakat money. What she basically meant is every time she tries and saves money for zakat, it ends up being spent either due to financial difficulty, say for example, her mother may need the money, children may need the money, or whatever the situation is. So then at the end of the year, she did not have any zakat money saved. And now she's in that constant dilemma. What should she do? Or I mean, what is the act of ibadah? Is she violating? So she is concerned about that. How would you address?
First of all, Rasulullah told us in the hadith that أفضل الصدقة, one of the best method of the sadaqah is spending on your family. So the sister, you are not making or not being able to gather your money to or wealth to pay the zakah, and you're spending that on your family. Alhamdulillah, this is the one of the best option or best sadaqah ibadah. So you're not doing anything wrong. You are rather you are doing a great job, which is prescribed by Rasulullah. So never think that I am doing something wrong and I can't pay my zakah. So your zakah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make the zakah burden on you. So if you can make or if you can save, then you need to make or pay the zakah. If you cannot save, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. Why would you pay zakah? Subhanallah. Wallahu a'lam.
Just to clarify here, some people may use the easy route, and that we have to put our plans in place to make sure that we save zakat money at most possible. We have to plan it.
Yes, of course.
And then if it's not possible, like the situation in sister's case, then that's appropriate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course,
Jazakallah khair. And apology, my dear sister, we couldn't hear you clearly, and I appreciate that. Obviously, you're calling all the way from West Africa. Much sincerely appreciated your valuable time and calling into the studio directly. Inshallah, keep watching, and if you still have any question that is left unanswered, then please call us back, or you can leave us a message on our social media platform, or you can also email us. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and that is, what is the best charity? Now, the viewer have also asked further question, such as building a masjid, sponsoring an orphan, planting an olive tree, building a well, whatever it is. What is the best form of charity?
So best form of charity, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in the hadith that the charity which you do it hiddenly. So you hide your charity from anyone. And always, and also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about this. No one else knows about this, and you do it hiddenly. So this is the best act of charity. Yes, you can, as you mentioned, that you can build a well without telling nobody, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. You can sponsor an orphan without telling anybody, only you, in between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the best form of charity.
But I just wanted to clarify, because the brother perhaps or sister perhaps the intention would be, is there any charity better than the other? For example, is it better for me to build a masjid, or is it better for me to sponsor an orphan, or is it better for me to plant an olive tree? Is there anything like something is better than the other, or whatever someone feels comfortable with?
So whatever is comfortable, each thing is unique. When Rasulullah, when it comes to an orphan, sponsoring an orphan, Rasulullah said what? So ana wa kafilul yatim fil jannati hakadha. So anyone who will sponsor any orphan, he will be or she will be in Jannah with me like this. And if you build a well, which Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu an and Ali ibn Abi Talib, they built a well, still exists. So you can do that. And building a masjid, which is a great one as well. So Rasulullah told us that man bana lillahi baytan bana Allahu lahu baytan fil Jannah. If you build a house for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, masjid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build you a house in Jannah. So whichever is convenient for you, it's up to you. So you have to judge yourself. So you don't have enough money, and if you think of making a masjid, but you don't have enough money, you can't do that. So based on your ability, you have to choose whatever act of sadaqah is what worth for you.
Now, Jazakallah khair. Going back to your first statement that you've mentioned, I have to touch this. We live in a very glamorous world,
Yeah.
in a world that we always love showing off,
Yeah.
whether it be through our social media platform, through our public presence, or whatever it is. And nowadays, we do see that an act of charity has also become an act of glamour, that I have donated such and such amount, I have built such and such masajids, I have helped that many number of orphans, etc. Now, one may wonder, is it to show off, or is the intention was sincere? How do you balance? Because people have got a lot of concerns about this particular question.
Yeah. Rasulullah ﷺ told us, and we've been discussing this issue, me and him, before the show. So, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Your action depends on your intention. So, which is very important one. And each book of hadith started with this hadith. So, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So, if your intention is right, that I am showing to the whole world that I'm doing, and through this what? Through this marketing or through this showing off, some people will be encouraged and they will do the same. Your intention is right, mashallah. You will get reward upon your intention, based on your intention. But if your intention just is to show off that I've got my money and I need to tell the people that I am wealthy, this and that, no. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept this act of charity. We have to be very careful, and this is why, as we mentioned at the first, that Rasulullah told that the best option of giving charity is that do it hidden.
Jazakallah khair, and that is very, very important. As Shaykh has mentioned, it all comes down to an intention, and if our intention is not correct, then at the end of the day, what is the benefit of this ni'mah that Allah has blessed us with? We have to all ask this question and hope may Allah give us the ability to have sincere thoughts and accordingly act upon it. Moving on swiftly to our next caller. Let's see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for calling in. What's your question?
A couple of questions quickly, inshallah.
Inshallah. Let's start with the first one.
Is from my daughter. She's asking whether can she recite Surah Al-Fatiha twice in one rak'ah.
Twice in one rak'ah, Surah Fatiha. Okay.
After rather reciting another surah, can she recite Surah Al-Fatiha again?
Okay, and then reading a surah or just two Fatiha?
No, just two Fatiha.
Okay, clear.
Question.
Okay, second.
So next question is from my wife, that if during offering prayer in the first rak'ah, for example, she forgets to do ruku, then she remembers during the sujood that she has missed ruku. So what should be the tartib of the salah afterwards? Would it be completing second rak'ah tashahhud and then third and fourth rak'ah tashahhud, and at the end praying that rak'ah again and doing sajda sahwa at the end, or what would be the tartib, please?
Okay, just let me clarify. Is the Asr Salah forgot to do the ruku and straight away went to sajda? Is that correct?
In the first rak'ah, yes.
In first, okay, fine, clear. What's the third question?
That's it, two questions.
Oh, two questions. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Such an important and valid question. Thank you very much for calling in. Inshallah, Shaykh will be addressing these questions now. Daughter, again, alhamdulillah, young caller as well. Viewer, Surah Fatiha twice.
So reciting Surah Fatiha once is recommended by the fuqaha, and Rasulullah ﷺ told us, but which is not recommended to recite Surah Fatiha twice in any prayer. So it is just once, inshallah.
Okay, so second question is Asr Salah. If there's from his missus and someone has forgotten after the first rak'ah to do ruku, in fact they were completely forgotten that and went straight to the sajda.
Yeah, so ruku' is one of the rukn of the salah. Ruku' is one of the important action of the salah. So majority of the fuqaha, they said, if you miss any rukn of the salah, it is best to repeat that prayer. To repeat that prayer, inshallah.
So not sajda sahu is not enough.
So majority of the ulama say, some of the ulama, they said, yes, sajda to sahu, but as you are missing a rukn of the prayer, it is best to repeat the prayer, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. And once again, thank you ever so much for asking those questions, and hope it answered your question. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and that is slightly longer. And that is, I need help. I've been suffering from waswasa for a while with wudu and keeping it. Today I prayed Isha in the last rak'ah. I felt as if something, assuming he said he's broken the wudu or a wind has passed. Later on I decided to repeat the salah, and even after repeating it in the third rak'ah, I felt that I call air bubbles of gas. I don't hear a sound or find a scent. Is my salah still valid?
your salah would be valid. So these type of waswasa comes, and shaitan will just make you to think that your wudu is broken. He will make you to do certain ibadah few more times or continuously. So which is a tactic of the shaitan to make you away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you feel or if you are experiencing these type of waswasa, say a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prescribed to us, and this is the best option. And make sure that you pray, you finish your prayer and just relax. So you don't repeat your prayer that thinking that this happened or that happened, this happened or that happened. Just say a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim, seek the protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah seek the protection that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you, and of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. It's just your intention that you need to be strong, you need to be firm on your wudu, you need to be firm on your religion, inshallah.
So just to clarify, say for example, if he's in a dilemma, not sure what has happened, needs to believe whether it's been broken or not broken. That's it. So in doubt, it shouldn't exist.
No, shouldn't exist.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thank you very much, Shaykh. That's all what we have time for. Inshallah, we'll join again next week or perhaps another time.
Inshallah, barakallah feekum.
With this, my dear viewers, we have come to the conclusion of our tonight's discussion. Thank you very much to all of you who have been with us, giving us company. Once again, thank you ever so much watching through our social media platform. And your feedback is always and will be always highly appreciated. So if you've got any suggestion for us, do feel free to email us. And inshallah, we will always take into consideration and see how we can beautify this very program. And if unfortunately there have been a lot of more questions on WhatsApp and on the line, inshallah, call us back again tomorrow. We will be, inshallah, same time, back on the same channel. Subhanakallah wa hamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.